Hello everyone and welcome to DisruptEDtv, where every little idea can make a big difference in your classroom or your school. My name is Alcini.
I'm Joe Asamendi.
And our guest today is Nathaniel Provencio.
That's right.
Nathaniel, it's so great to have you
Great to be here.
Welcome.
Great to be here. Yeah,
Thank
Jersey, it's beautiful. Love it.
It is.
Yeah.
It's terrific, and the
right.
weather's starting to improve. It's springtime, so and it couldn't be better because you're here.
Oh, thank you. You're too kind. Too kind.
You're here, Nathaniel, because first of all, you were named Principal of the Year by the Washington Post, which I think is a terrific honor.
Yes.
Certainly the honor is important, but how you got to be Principal of the Year is really what's important. The idea really is about community engagement, but you mentioned you have a particular how.
Oh, yeah.
That how could be something that teachers or school administrators can maybe learn. So 3 C's, maybe you can count them out for us.
Yeah, so Minnieville Elementary is a relatively small school of approximately 540 amazing students. These students are coming from us from literally all over the world, right? So out of 540 students, approximately 70 to 80% are economically disadvantaged. Okay.
You mentioned Prince William County, Virginia.
Prince William County
about
schools.
30 miles south of D.C.
Yep, 30 miles south, large school division of about 100 schools.
Okay.
So out of 540 students, we have a very large economically disadvantaged population. And then in addition to that, we have approximately 70% of students that are second language learners. So on one side, just with the optics of that, it's a very challenging demographic. However, we're one of the highest performing Title I schools in our division. We're a distinguished Virginia Title I school. We're an international professional learning community. So in spite of some challenges, we've done some amazing things. Now, as a professional learning community, one big thing for us is to really adhere to our vision and our mission. And that's what you're talking about with our 3 C's. So our vision is soaring for excellence. Everyone in our community knows about our vision.
You mentioned that's the school's brand.
Yeah, just like Nike has Just Do It, we have Soaring for Excellence,
That's
right?
very important.
And our mission statement is our 3 C's: commitment, collaboration, and community. Commitment to best practices, collaboration in everything we do, and a huge focus on our community. Not only our community of learners, but our entire community within the geographic area of our school.
Including
I
businesses
wanna-
also?
Including businesses, absolutely.
I want to dive into that, but before we do, I want to point out your wristband.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah,
you can,
sure.
just sort of show everybody.
So as I was meeting with our kindergartners, they said, Mr. Provencio, you're not going to be here at school. I said, yeah, I'm going to New Jersey. And so we looked at New Jersey on the map and showed them where they were. And they said, what are you going to do? I'm going to talk to DisruptEDtv to help other principals, keep on being better. And they say, well, here, take my bracelet and good luck. So I'm wearing this for my my Minnieville kindergartners to give me a little boost of kindergarten energy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So yeah.
They're all running around here waiting.
That's right. That's right.
That's a terrific shout out.
So yeah, so I like talking about our vision and our mission because it's always interesting to me when I talk with other principals and other staff members that no one knows their vision. No one knows their mission. And sometimes schools have a vision that's kind of just arbitrary and a mission that's like 8 paragraphs long that no one can understand, right? Because they just have to do it. It's really important that everyone in your community knows your vision and your mission. And so we just keep it simple with our 3 C's and something that from our kindergartners to our 5th graders to our families to our custodian, everyone knows, and it resonates with everyone. And that sets into place all the decisions that we make as a school has to go back to our 3 C's and our vision.
Great. And first C is commitment.
Commitment, absolutely.
2 minutes on that.
Yeah, commitment to best practices. We want to make sure that that our standards are absolutely adhered to. So there's basically 2 curriculums that we work through. We work through our state curriculum, but we also work through our student curriculum. Every student that comes to the table, they have their own curriculum. They have their own context. They have their own life experiences. And so it's our job as educators to make sure that we're teaching the standard, but we're also doing it in a way that's meaningful, that's relevant, and engaging to each individual student. Now,
540 separate
540.
learning journeys.
That's a challenge
That's
when you have such a diverse student population. So when you're trying to teach about simple machines, how you could just have the kids do the experiences and do everything, but a kid might have a family member who's an engineer, may have a family member that's an electrician or a plumber. So how do we have their context and their background? How can we be committed to learning our students so we can use their strategies to get to our standard? So that's what we're committed to. Differentiation, best practices, and it takes work. It's not just about handing out a bunch of worksheets. It's about knowing your students and having a relationship with them as individual learners. That's what we're committed to.
That's super important. Okay, now collaboration. That's collaboration.
Collaboration
in the school?
is huge. So a lot of times schools will think of collaboration just as the planning. So if we're a team, we're sitting around planning. But collaboration is more than just the planning. It's co-labor, right? Co-working. So not only do we have to collaborate in our planning, we also have to make sure that we're not taking those plans, closing our doors and becoming individual educational consultants or contractors in our school. We have to make sure we open those doors. And if you're a second language specialist, if you're a special ed specialist or a reading assistant, you've got to come in there and help me. Too many schools are pulling students out and thinking that the answer is less students in the classroom and more small group work in some kind of setting where no one is ever talking. That's not the answer. So for us, collaboration means not only are we co-planning, we're co-working, we're co-teaching, we're co-grading, we're figuring out how our assessments, why did these students do well, why did these students not? That has to be done in collaboration. It's too archaic to be thinking that one individual teacher has all the answers. So at Minnieville, we make sure that we're bringing in like-minded people to know you're not going to do this in isolation. Everyone's going to be working together as a team. So that's what we're committed to,
Synergistic,
that collaboration. Absolutely.
So individual faculty members know that they can call on any of their colleagues anywhere in the faculty to come in and help them.
Oh,
with a
they don't have to
particular
call.
class.
They're going to be there.
That's just going to happen.
That's
So-
just going to happen. That's our
So
culture.
rather than move kids out into specialty classrooms,
Sure.
we keep the kids where they are
Yeah.
and pull different resources in.
So often, we talk a lot about the RTI model, right? The response to intervention model. Well, there's basically a tier 1 core instruction, which is the foundation. Tier 2, which is additional interventions, and then tier 3, which is significant interventions. Well, so often schools spend the majority of their time focusing on the interventions, focusing on reactionary instruction. Well, we need to be committed and have that collaborative effort to focus on the foundational. So tier 1 instruction needs to be solid. So oftentimes kids are giving interventions because they didn't have great first tier instruction. So at Minnieville and as a professional learning community, we make sure that our collaborative efforts are going to focus on getting it right the first time, building that foundation of excellence with our tier 1 instruction so that we don't have to have so many interventions and that students aren't found eligible for special education because we got it right first. That's very important.
That's important. You know, we've had other guests who've talked about the importance of first grade or kindergarten. And if you get off on the right foot, second, third, fourth, and fifth grades become much easier to teach because the basics are there and the attitude is set right from the beginning. So I can see where that would make a difference. But your third C is community, and we talked before the program. What interested me, Nathaniel, about your approach is that where often we talk to teachers about the importance of engaging parents in the process, you make the point that it's families, not parents. So why don't we talk about that a little bit, because I think that's an important point.
So our third C, community, is so important. And a lot of times we've found that other schools take advantage or don't really value sometimes the importance that families have in our schools. And when I got to the school in 2010, it was a good school. It was a great school. But it was obvious that parents and families were just not around, right? So you'd walk in and you'd see maybe one or two moms making copies here and there. And as I was talking to my teachers, it's like, where's all the families? Where's the parents coming in? And sometimes we got, well, we don't really want them. They stay there and we stay here. And then I asked when I would meet families, I was like, why aren't you coming to our school? And it was the same response. Well, the teachers need to do what they need to do. I need to do what I need to do. And we're not going to get in the way. It was very interesting.
You're not in the way, and that's the point.
Right.
We're being too safe.
We're being too safe. So with 540 students, these kids that we have and these families, they're literally coming from all over the world. We have a huge Central American population. We have a very significant West African population, which is very interesting for us. And then we have kids from all over the world. We actually have a rising Middle Eastern population coming from war-torn areas that are coming in to our country. So we have this huge multinational, very, very diverse group of students. And so as we're having these conversations with trying to understand that community is important, but we've got to get the families more involved. We've got to get the teachers and staff ideas and strategies to get them involved. We need a game plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in 2010, after I came in and doing my observations and walking around and seeing that parents just weren't a part of our process, we said, let's approach family engagement and getting family hours just like we would a math goal or just like we would a language arts goal. So if you're deficient in math, you want to see what your data says, right? You want a starting point. You're going to create a plan. You're going to create some action steps. You're going to get a team together. You're going to monitor the data. You're going to see what works. You're going to refine your efforts, and you're going to continue on.
Sure.
So we did the exact same thing with our family engagement. We had this great core of teachers that were really interested in sharing the same vision that we had about building family engagement. We came up with a plan based on how many hours we had of family involvement.
Okay.
And so it was approximately 400 hours for the last year of parents coming in and being involved in the school. Well, 400 hours divided by, at the time, it was close to 640. That's not a lot of hours at all.
Right.
Not a lot of hours compared to some non-Title I schools that just have thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. So we said, all right, this is pretty low. Let's set a very reasonable, smart goal of 1,000 hours. Can we raise our parent involvement and engagement from 400 hours to 1,000 hours? So we said, all right, let's do it. Why not? First, we had to define what a volunteer is and what a volunteer isn't. And so we had to make sure that we were looking at a bit of a liberal definition of a volunteer based on a traditional model. So when parents come in to have lunch with their kid, right? I said, you know what, that's a volunteer hour. And the teachers were like, no, Mr. Provencio, that's not a volunteer hour because they're just sitting and eating with their kid. And I was like, well, no, they're not. They're opening lunches and milks for their kids. They're they're having conversations. They're engaged. So just because a parent comes in as eating lunch or celebrating a birthday, they're actually volunteering. They're doing things.
Don't discount that.
That's right. So let's really have a conversation about what volunteering means. And then that led to other good conversations and good strategies. So within the first year, putting a plan in place, monitoring our hours, coming up with different ways to get our parents in, and also figuring out which walls and barriers that we were in charge of that were keeping parents away. One of them was mindset. That was a huge thing.
Right.
Really?
So there was a mental mindset about keeping parents away, like we talked about.
Right.
Well, let the parents be the parents, let me be the teacher, I'm the expert. But there are some physical walls that we needed to take down too. So when you think about when a parent is coming in, how many barriers, how many locks and gates do you have to get into before you can visit into your child's classroom?
How many things do I have to get past?
That's right.
To get them to get to the
and
kids?
School safety, I understand that's a huge thing,
Sure.
and that's absolutely something that we have to put into place. But our parents aren't suspects.
Right.
Our parents aren't criminals.
No.
They're stakeholders, right?
Exactly.
So we have to have that relationship with our families so that they are comfortable coming into our schools and being part of what we're doing.
Plus, you had the idea with all those multicultures. They all had a perception of how you
Sure,
engage.
sure.
Yeah, that
In
is-
El
that is
Salvador,
really
you don't, generally speaking, you don't participate in the
Right.
school process. In West Africa, you don't participate in the school process. So we had to break down some and bridge some cultural divides for us
Sure.
as well. So physical barriers, like we wanted to make sure that our secretaries were the friendliest faces in the universe, right? You guys know this. You've been in schools, you come in, the desk is real high, you got those beady eyes looking at you from the secretary.
Yeah, it's almost like you're going to do a check cash.
That's right.
You want to be, that's interesting. That's customer service 101.
Customer service 101.
Companies know about that.
That's right.
Schools, it's a new concept. And so you drove that to a certain
Absolutely, and
extent.
we have amazing secretaries, those lighthouses that shine the beam for our families to come
Great.
in,
Great.
and then we made sure that our family and that our teachers know that our families are welcome anytime they want to.
That's such an important shift. Instead of defending the school from the families, we're welcoming the family into the school.
That's right.
Where they can be part of the whole process of education, which is really what we're supposed to be about. You mentioned that goal of 1,000 hours, and I remember before the program we talked about how you had to go a little quant in order to be able to measure that.
Oh, yeah,
because you
sure.
wanted to be able to prove that it was 1,000 hours. How did you do that? Good.
So 1,000 hours. So families would come in, Mr. and Miss Gonzalez would come in, they'd say, Mr. Provencio called me and said that I could volunteer today, this is great, so I'm going to sign in. I'm going to be making copies for my child's teacher, so it was 8:40, they go spend an hour, they sign out. And we also have a system where with your ID, you check in with your ID, it goes against a registry just to make sure that everything's copacetic with you coming in. And so that's how we logged our hours.
That's
So
great.
the systems were already in place, but we weren't monitoring them
Right.
and making sure. And then what we would do is we would figure out what day are most of our parents coming in, which grade levels are most of our parents coming in, what times are most of our grade levels, are parents coming in, which grade level. So then we had all this quantitative data to be able to say where we were shining and where we had areas of deficiency. Generally, September was great. November and October, not so much.
Right.
So that means we need to up our game the next year to put more calls out for our parents to come in. So the data, something very simple, just helped us refine our efforts and make sure that we were growing. So now we went from, in 2010, 400 hours to now we're pushing 5,000 hours as a school, which still is not as much as some of our other school counterparts, but it's a lot for us.
But it's measurably more year after year, and you reach a comfort level at some point. Then you try to push the envelope a little bit and see if you can't do a little bit more. And I think that incremental improvement in schools is something, we're not going to get the perfect immediately. We may never get the perfect, but we can always be a little better.
Absolutely.
And the only way we know we're better is if we're measuring how we were and in a way keeping score that way. I think that's great. Now, before the program, we talked about family engagement, not just parental engagement.
That's right.
I want to, that struck me because usually people talk about getting the parents involved. You're talking about families.
Well, the idea of the nuclear family has changed, so much.
Not leave it to Beaver
it's not
anymore.
leave it to Beaver. It's not just mom and dad. Sometimes it's mom, it's auntie. Sometimes it's Tia. Sometimes it's grandmother. Sometimes it's dad. Sometimes it's an adopted parental placement. So we want to make sure that we're actually embracing the entire family when they come in. So we have events like Grandparents' Day. We have the events like Dad's Day, or just like a male figure to kind of celebrate their efforts. We have all of these different events that we try to do both during the day and after school to bring in our families together. We have great Title I nights where we're giving strategies for math and giving strategies through reading through fun and engaging games. But we're making sure that we are inviting the entire family. So when we have events, we know that we're going to get 5 or 6 people. Right, and we're also going to get sometimes people that don't even belong to the school that are going to come in because they've heard great things about our school, and they may have a child that wants to enroll in our school, right, or are moving into the area. So if we're only just focusing on the parent, we're missing a huge customer demographic. So we make sure that our events go out to the entire family in multiple languages as much as possible, on through paper copies, through the internet-based ways. It's amazing.
Did you have your teachers also go into the community itself?
Yeah, so we did this, that's a great question. So we have this event that we do at the beginning of the year called our Amazing Race, right? And so a lot of times when our new teachers come in, they may not have the same backgrounds or understanding of the families and the students that they're going to be serving, right? It is what it is. So instead of just kind of doing the traditional, get all your new teachers on the bus, drive around the neighborhood, get them sick, and then come back to the school, we wanted to be engaging. And we also wanted to do an activity that was going to spark and be very engaging for them so that they could have some ideas and be engaging for their students. So we did this Amazing Race. So in this Amazing Race, we have at the beginning of the year, it kind of sets the stage for our customer service philosophy. So our teams of teachers, so like first grade, third grade, second grade, all of our teams of teachers go out throughout the building, and they engage in team building challenges, right? It's real fun. Just like the show, Amazing Race. So they have to do puzzles that are relevant to our school. They have to create different kind of challenges, different kind of group work. Well, one of the tasks, the final task, is to create a bookshelf or a desk area using that ubiquitous Allen wrench, the one little tool. And nothing says team building like putting together. That's right.
I know.
So they have to do this, right, with just the directions and the one tool. And then they're given coordinates. Right? And so what they have to do, and I know I'm kind of telling the secret on DisruptED, but what they have to do is then they have to take those coordinates and those desks, and they also have boxes of supplies, and they have to take that to a family's house. Now, we've already coordinated it with the family that they're going to have visitors of teachers. And so these teams go to families' homes, they knock on the door, the parents and the families come out and they say, wow, thank you for coming, and they start engaging in a conversation. Well, then the teachers realize, well, I have this desk for you. And so when you might see a single family home, which is like, oh, what a nice home. What families, or what our teachers don't realize, is that there are multiple families a lot of times living in those homes. So they may say, well, let's go around to the back. So they go in the basement, and there's 2 families living in a basement, splitting a room with a piece of plywood.
Okay.
And these teachers are finally realizing, wow, this is the
my
area.
community.
This is my community.
This is my community.
And they're giving these desks and these supplies to the families, and they're very, very grateful. And then the teachers come back, and then we reflect. What did you learn from this opportunity? And I've had teachers say, you know what, I'm going to really think about when I give homework and a kid doesn't bring it, what that means. Because, think of all the distractions.
Don't know what's going on over there.
But having that sense of grace, right,
Yeah.
and showing our families that the teachers and the schools reaching out, we're giving supplies, we're giving that really opens up a lot of doors.
Sure.
That is important.
Principals talk about having an open door policy all the time, but whose door are they really talking about?
Right.
Their door.
Their own,
Yeah.
right.
So as principals, we have to make sure that we're not only inviting parents to our door, we're going to their door. We're knocking on doors, we're breaking bread with our communities, because families need to see that the school is a
is-
part of their lives.
That
It's an
is so
appreciation.
insightful. So
Yeah.
it's not just about inviting families to join you at the school. It's about going out to
You
the
got it.
families and knocking on the
Yeah.
doors.
And we've
That
had
is so-
we've
that
had
is so
events
key.
that where our PTO meetings and things where we didn't have anyone coming out. Well, when we call it, why didn't you come out? It's like, I don't have a car. It's like, well, how about we have these PTO meetings in your neighborhood?
Sure.
So we
Bring it to them.
You just have to think just a little bit different. But our families and our students, they want to be a part of something great. And our community, our business owners want to be part of something
I
great
was
as
going
well.
to mention that.
Yeah.
You involve business owners too. We've got about 2 minutes left in the program, but go ahead and talk
Yeah,
about
just
that.
real important. Businesses want to invest in greatness, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
And so one of the things that we've done is say, hey, look, business A, you've done a great job. We serve this whole Minnieville community. What can you do to help us, and what can we do to help you? So we have this great symbiotic relationship with our businesses, not only for our profit businesses, but also our police department, our faith-based organization.
Right.
We
Yeah,
do
that is-
everything we can to make sure that we're a partner in our progress,
Right.
because businesses want to invest in greatness. And if you're a great school, businesses are going to want to invest in you.
Sure.
That is
And
so
that
impactful.
helps their bottom
Invest in
line,
the
and it
future.
helps us.
Great.
So not only do we want businesses dollars, we also want businesses time.
Right.
So we want volunteers to come in and help us with that. So the commitment, collaboration, community is so vital, and that's how we operate at Minnieville.
That's so key. Okay, Nathaniel Provencio, principal, Minnieville Elementary School. Thank you for explaining to us and to our audience how you got to be principal of the year as named by Washington
That's great.
Post. We're at that part of our program where you get to look into your camera.
Yeah,
Tell everybody how to reach you.
thank you very much for inviting me over here. Awesome. Please follow us, our school, at MNES the best. That's our school Twitter site, and then my personal site is @provenprincipal. And I'd love to be able to hear from you. And if any of these ideas resonate with you, just give me a call, send me a tweet, and we'll chat.
It's so terrific having you
All
on the
right.
program.
Thank you very
Nathaniel.
much.
Thanks for
Appreciate it.
driving up.
Thank you,
Great having
guys.
you. Want to mention too, Nathaniel found us through our website, DisruptED-tv.com. You can do that too, and if you've got an idea you'd like to share with us and with our audience, drop us a note, fill out the form on our website. We'd look forward to hearing from you. And thank you all for joining us today on DisruptED TV. My name is Al Cini,
I'm still Joe Osmendi.
and we hope we can welcome you back for another episode.